I'm Stephen Alonzo of the Flat Earth University, and behind me is the Gleason Map. This is how the world really looks like in real life if you were up in space looking down. Now, I got into a discussion the other day with someone who got confused about that concept. He was trying to tell me that of equal latitudes, the distances across would be the same if you were looking up in the sky, and that doesn't make sense. He called it the Rob Skiba, something that Rob Skiba mentioned, but even if that's true, that would then mean that it wouldn't flatten out. Like, you have to have it the same size, if that makes sense. So what I believe is that we use a Lorentz-ether length contraction. We don't use time dilation like in the globe theory where you can go forwards and backwards in time. On flat Earth and geocentric cosmology in general, most of us use the ether, and as you're traveling through this fluid ether, there's a length contraction. Now, for us on flat Earth, it makes perfect sense that it matters north to south, these length contractions are, north to south latitudes. So the length contraction in the north is smaller than the length contraction in the south. Now, what that means is, let's say you're at latitude 30 north, that is going to look smaller than latitude 30 south. Latitude 30 south down here is going to look bigger than latitude 30 north up here. However, if you were to measure the physical distance in real life, conduct a measurement, they will measure exactly the same despite visually looking different. This is called a Lorentz length contraction, and it happens because of the fluid ether that we operate within our world.
5 units of length relative to the background. But once the background grows, it now only spans 4 units of length. So it was the coordinates that actually shrank, not your pencil. Indeed, you claim that the length of your pencil is absolute or invariant. Then you fix a local background to it, such that your background never grows, your pencil never shrinks, and you never have to do any physics. Woo! Job well done. But now along comes another observer with a pencil that also inexplicably shrinks from 5 to 4 units. You demand they give a physical explanation for this, but they aren't having it. If you don't have to do physics, why should they? Indeed, they claim their pencil is the invariant one, and yours is the one that actually shrank. You see, they assert that because your pencil shrank, you grew your background to compensate for this shrinking, and that you are using this inflated background to see their own pencil, which of course now appears to span less coordinates. Now, this catches you off guard at first, but being clever, you realize you can turn this argument around on them and say, no, your pencil never shrank. Rather, as you first asserted, their pencil did. And they are the one wielding an inflated background to thus see your own pencil as shortened.
Now, you're going to hear people saying Michelson-Morley, whatever. Only a rigid ether has been debunked. We don't believe in a rigid ether. We believe in a fluid ether. So if anyone brings up experiments such as Michelson-Morley, you say, yeah, I agree with that entirely. And then you start explaining why the fluid ether is actually correct. You use their point against them, and you have a really good debating point if you're into that. But look into the fluid ether and the Lorentz-ether length transform. As a matter of fact, special relativity uses the Lorentz-ether transform for all of its experimental predictions. These are just two different ways of looking at the same thing. As Austin Whitsitt says, a kinematic equivalence. There's an explanation for all of this, and it makes a lot more sense for us on the flat Earth. I don't think time dilation is realistic. A lot of people say, oh, the globe makes sense. No, it doesn't. For the globe to make sense, that means you have to be able to go forwards and backwards. Time can adjust for you, and your time's different than my time. Makes no sense. All we need is a length contraction. And we already know we have to use that just by looking at how the map of our world is, you can't say Australia is actually stretched out. But if you're up in space, if you're up on the firmament looking down, it would look like that. It would. But if you were to drive across, due to the length contraction, it's going to measure the exact same measurement that any globe person would say. And that's not weird. That's because there's two different things going on. Either you have a length contraction or you don't. You can use time dilation or Lorentz-ether transforms. So on my model of how I argue flat Earth, even in my submissions for the final experiment challenge number 1 was flight distances. To accurately get the distance traveled, you have to do a Lorentz-ether transform. You have to. I don't know a different way to do it. And it makes a lot of sense. I've been wanting to mention this to people such as Shane St. Pierre in the Aether Cosmology group. They know way more about this than I do, so they can give feedback on whether this is even possible. But it's how I would argue our world is. If you're up on the top of the firmament looking down, just like how all the flat earth apps show it, you're going to see Australia stretched out like that. But due to the Lorentz-ether transform, you're going to measure it smaller.
This is the Gleason blanket, and it's large. It covers what I have as a queen size bed, but it's not just for looking at. It's actually like a really fuzzy, really smooth material. You can see the pictures through the close-up of the fiber. It's absolutely amazing to have this in your house just for a general purpose blanket, or for me cuddling up with my girlfriend every night just thinking about her and the Gleason map. That's the pinnacle of life, when you can just have a life set up like that, because the flat earth sciences let you succeed in life in every aspect possible. So this is for sale right now on the Flat Earth University store. And I want you to know that this is our product. That's why I'm doing this video. It may seem weird and there's going to be trolls in the comments. So thank you. I encourage you for listening. This is one of the many products that we have. Have a wonderful day.